Privilege it is to be welcomed into your home. If I have not had the chance to meet you personally, welcome to my channel. If you haven't had the chance to subscribe and like, press that like button. It helps my channel grow. What an honor and a privilege. We are looking at what is happening in the stock market right now. So far, this week is not starting off with a huge bang, but a lot of little bit of inconsistencies with certain not inconsistencies. We're looking with a lot of indecision in the stock market right now. The tensions in Iran and the US keep heating up. I've spoke about this a couple of weeks ago that this was not one and done. Iran is not ready to give up. This regime has been touting about power and strength and might for many years. They're not just going to walk away, and they're in it to fight. They're in it to win it. And these people are willing to die for their cause. So this is what we're seeing, that this is not one and done. There's a lot of mediation. There's a lot of mediation happening from different Middle East countries. Will it help the Iran people, or will it keep them from complete destruction of this regime right here? So we're seeing that this is affecting the stock market. We're also looking at financial news that will affect the stock market. We have earnings happening this week. One of the big heavy hitters is going to be Tesla reporting on Wednesday. What is Tesla going to report? Is robo-taxi getting a lift in many other parts of the country as it starts rolling out some of the testing? Some of these cities are letting them use the testing, just like Waymo and other cities around the country. And I'm excited about this. If you've ever ridden, or if you ever had a chance to ride in a robo taxi, it's actually pretty fun. I've done it several times. I've done it in Las Vegas. I've done it in Phoenix. I've done it in parts of LA. And it's really pretty cool. And I really think that this is the wave of the future. It is still in the neophyte stages, it's in the embryonic stages of development. But right now, we're starting to see that this is could be the future. Whoever perfects this, once this technology is perfected, you're going to see a huge disruption in the taxi, in the Uber, in the Lyft driving community. And I am pretty sure that companies like Uber and Lyft are trying to partner up with these companies to either be the first ones to order a big fleet of these vehicles so they can use them, or either partner with one of these companies that has the technology to really make this happen. What Uber and Lyft have is the customers. That's huge. And if Uber and Lyft and Tesla are able to get this really rolling, this is the wave of the future. I really do believe that. I think robo taxi is it. Along with a lot of stuff that we're seeing technology do, along with AI, along with many other things. Let's look at it. I want to take a look at certain charts and see what the stock market is doing. I want to share with you my screen. Redo this, change my layout. Here we go. So as we're looking right now at the S&P is down 18 points, which is not a big move considering all the moves it has done in the last few days. This is what we talked about last week. If the S&P 500 stays above the $500 range, if it stays above the $7,000 range, This could be, I'm not saying it is, this could be the next leg where the stock market just takes off like a launch pad. Think of it as, if we look at the stock market, let's look at this from last year. Look at the similar patterns, this V shape. I want you to notice the similar patterns. What it's looking for, this is where we call this like a neckline. When the stock market passes this neckline right here, then either when we're here or at the time that we're here of last year, then we're looking at, could this be a launch pad for this to take off? Now we say to ourselves, if it goes above, then it is. If it goes below, then we're downturn territory. As we can see, the market took off. We are in a similar place. But notice this curve that we have right here. It's a nice little curve. Here is not as pretty of a curve, but it is of a curve. This is a real pretty, you can just see a nice little curve that is doing right there, and then boom, taking off. This is where we're at today. This little doji right here, this little candlestick is what we're looking at right now. We are at a place of indecision. Iran and the US tensions and that conflict is really a big cog in what the stock market is going to do. But also, we're almost looking. I drew this line as a AI boom. This was not nothing specific, but I look at this place right here as a very pivotal point. This to me is where, either if you have been listening to me for the last several weeks, and when I've been saying, load up on these cheap stocks right now, load up on buying good quality stocks. There's still a lot of stocks that are at a discount position. You have seen a lot of rotational stocks, meaning that a lot of money moved out of either AI technology and into blue chip retail stocks. So there's a lot of stocks that have been battling and trying to get above water, that right now is, if you invest in some of those companies, you will see a nice boost in your portfolio if you are playing the long-term game. The long-term game to me is 20, 30 years. I tell people that if you play the long game, if you just park your money in good stock, or even if you do an ETF like the SPY or the QQQ or the DIA, you can really do very well if you're a long term investor. If you're listening to me, if you're under 30, if you're 20, you should be already putting your money away. Some of you may say, well, what should I put my money away in? A lot of the things is, I would ask myself, what do you love? What are the things that you consistently buy? Where do you shop? If you start looking at what car you drive, what products you enjoy, what's in your home, I can guarantee you that 5 out of the 10 of the things that you love, there's a publicly traded company behind behind those products. And if you look at some of you, God has given you a gift that I may be unaware of, where you understand an industry, or you just nerd out at a specific subject, and you start seeing that you could find publicly traded companies in that industry. Some of you may say, well, I don't know if I know any products. I work at a bakery. Well, even if you work at a bakery, you deal with flour, you deal with wheat, you deal with sugar, you deal with chocolate, you deal with a lot of products that are sold in the futures market. Not only that, there's big conglomerates that sell these to a lot of these shops that are publicly traded companies. So you look at those things, and wherever God has placed you, you can find a publicly traded company in that space, in that arena. So I always tell people, look at where you placed, where God has placed you, and you could start seeing, oh, I know about this industry. I see that move. I see that there's a lot of income coming in, building everything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we start looking at the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Similar candlestick pattern, that curve, what we're seeing right here. See a downturn candle right here. So that's what we're seeing, is down 165 points. To me, that's not much. You could see a lot of traders either taking profits. This right here, this is a double top to me. And we've already passed that. This to me could be, and I'm not saying it is, this could be a place of indecision where we could either look for a landing place or a launch pad. Dow Jones not doing terribly, but this one is fighting to get back to that $50,000 range. Again, down 134 points. In retrospect, that's not a lot, but it is for the average person. It is, but that's not a lot in the Dow Jones because it's a heavy mover. We're starting to see that Apple's finding its footing. Like I mentioned, when this stock was right down here in the 243 range, I was saying load up, load up, load up. If you would have listened, and if you have, you would already be up about 6 to 8%, probably more. But Apple again is a key staple, is a key stock, is a good dividend stock. It has loyalty brand. It's a loyalty brand company. I myself am an Apple person. I don't touch a PC. Heavens no. Heavens no. Apple all the way. Tesla. Again, this stock is getting beat up. It had a great move. Again, expect this from this stock. This stock has earnings in a couple of days. Expect this from this stock. I would not be shocked if the Wall Street does not like the earnings and this stock drops to the 350 range. I would not be shocked. Netflix. We had this talk about Netflix. I like Netflix. If it goes back down again in this range, to me, it is still a strong buy. Like I mentioned, I'm not a fan of Reed Hastings, but I do believe that Netflix is going to be on the verge of the next thing in social media and in media in general. I could see them partnering with podcasters, people who just vloggers, YouTube media, and I could see them really bringing a bigger audience to these people. Don't sleep on Netflix. I like Netflix. Silver and gold are both getting hit a little bit. Silver down about a buck 12. It was in the $80 range over the weekend. But right now, silver kind of struggling, but not too bad. Gold down 33 bucks. But again, this is one that I think will go back to the $5,000 range. If you've been holding gold and silver, you are very happy. I myself am happy. I'm happy, happy, happy. Bitcoin. Bitcoin, again, if you bought down in this dip where it went down here, you're okay. You're doing all right. You're doing good on Bitcoin. If you bought down here, now, Bitcoin is a long term play. Could this be fool's gold? That's what I'm wondering. A lot of people are wondering that Bitcoin is fool's gold. All this crypto, many people believe that is fool's gold. Now, this is the thing. If it's fool's gold, why you have institutions? Why you have government regulation? Why you having all this intervention from government officials in Bitcoin? Now, I'm not saying that this is it, but could Bitcoin, could cryptocurrency replace fiat currency? And I think there's a strong chance that it could. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is it, but this is what you have to look at scripture. When you look at scripture and the Bible talks about that we will go into a one world system, that we will go into a one world currency, we will go into a one world monetary system. Well, how do you do that? You got to get away from paper money. You have to make it electronic. I think crypto could be the thing that could usher us into world currency. I really do believe the United States, in my opinion, is trying to do what Henry Kissinger did with the OPEC nations and peg the US dollar as we once know it as the petrodollar, meaning that if the United States could peg their currency, their fiat currency, to crypto, it could give them unlimited amount of money to print. They're already printing it already. This will give them just more leeway to do it. We see Bitcoin up 1,200. We're starting to see a move up. Also, Ethereum making a nice little move. We're starting to see all the cryptocurrencies start making moves today. So we're starting to see many moves that are happening in the stock market right now. One can only hope and only wait to see is how is this Iran US tension going to affect the stock market this week. Many of us know you could be on the defensive side, or if you're bullish on this administration, you're going all in, you're putting all the chips in the table. Now we're starting to see as Christian investors, many of us look at how to invest as Christian people. I get this asked quite a bit from many of the saints, which is I don't like investing in companies because they don't align with Christian morals. And to that question, I would say that it is true. If you look at it, if there's 30,000 stocks, about 29,999 999 are not Christian. So there's not one fully Christian company. Maybe there's a few that have CEOs that are aligned, but there's not 100% fully Christian owned company. Many of those companies remain private with understanding. Just like many of us love Chick-fil-A, you say, okay, that's a great company, but you cannot invest in that company. It's not a publicly traded company. So, how do you invest in companies in the stock market that you don't necessarily align yourself? Now, this is where you have to put personal feelings aside. This is you could either, hey, I don't want to touch that company, but I'll invest in an ETF. That one would be a basket of stocks. To me, it's better than a mutual fund. The SPY is my favorite. QQQ is my second favorite. Those are the ETFs. If you tell me, hey, I don't really want to invest in those companies, but I'd rather just put my money and let someone else take care of it. Another thing is there are good companies that are like what we say dividend kings, blue chip companies. These are your Coca-Colas, your Pepsis. These are your John Deere, your Caterpillar, your GEs. These are companies that have been around for many years and have paid a steady dividend. These are stocks where you could be like, hey, this is where I would park money. Then you have some of your high flyers, your blue chip, but that have legacy also associated with it. That's where you have your Googles. That's where you have your Apples. That's where you have your companies like Meta. They fall in that category. Now, there's other people be like, I love companies like that, but there's still, I have an inkling that I cannot invest my money in certain companies. That's where you could use the power of options. Options is a way where you can trade on both sides of the fence. You could either use two sides of the coin, meaning you could use scripture and say, hey, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Well, I can make money off of companies who don't align with with my my spiritual upbringing. I can trade against companies that don't align with me spiritually. You can make money off those companies. One of the biggest companies that come to mind right off the top of my head is Target. Think of it when Target started speaking ill against Christians and they started promoting certain agendas. You starting to see that there was a huge boycott from a Christian community. That's a way where you can actually make money as they go down. So you look at trading and investing, you can trade according to your personality. You can trade according to your personal convictions. You can align yourself with certain companies. You could say, hey, I might not like this company, but I see where they're going in the future and they really have technology up front. This is where many people get maybe sideswipe is not the answer, but this is where people get maybe misaligned. Is they feel that is that all these companies, or they align themselves with a government party, or this elephant or this donkey. If you look at when a certain regime or government is in power, you can tell what companies they invest in. You could see what companies they're going to push for. You could see what technology they want next. So that's the thing, is you could look with an eagle eye. If you take your political feelings away and look back and say, okay, what does this regime likes? They like war, they like fighting. So I would look at defense contractors. This regime likes investing in technology. So you look at Apple's, your Google's. This is where you start seeing the dot-com boom. You can see a lot of these investments happening right now. Right now is the AI and crypto movement. That's what's happening. That's our timeline right now. It's the AI and crypto movement. What's going to be next? Is it going to be the robo taxi? Is it going to be something else? This is the technology that if you look back and say to yourself, okay, what's happening next? Let me put my hard earned dollars into these investments. And when you play the long game, you start seeing that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. And that's where is taking your feelings aside and not hiding and putting blinders over your eyes and saying, I don't want to know anything. No, it's time to occupy. You got to remember, even though my channel talks about money, I cannot take a dollar with me. Not one thing. But what I can take with me is souls. You see, the only Bible that certain people read is you. Now, I'm all for this and that, but I only have 80 to 100 years on this planet. I want to make my life count. And everything money I could use as a tool to bring the gospel out to the nations. See, God is not coming until all the ends of the earth have heard the gospel, and the gospel hasn't reached everyone. There's certain remote islands that have not heard the gospel yet. And we are all waiting for that day. Now, as we're here on earth, it's time to occupy. I want to use my funds to fund the kingdom. I want to use my money to send missionaries. It's about the clarion call. Don't miss what God is doing through you, through your finances. And as many of you in your own space, wherever you find yourself, if you're in the UK, if you're in the US, if you're in the North, if you're in the South, if you're in the East or West, wherever you find yourself, God is looking for people that will serve him in spirit and in truth. God is looking also for entrepreneurs that will fund kingdom business. I am really strong on kingdom business. Why? Because the only thing that Hollywood and Washington D.C. respects is money. See, in the Bible, God used his prophets because wealth was a sign of God's blessing. And like I mentioned before, I'm not a name it and claim it type of person. I'm more of you work for it, and those blessings come from from you tilling the land. So there's no overnight money. God blesses hustle. See, by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. I don't know about you, but bread is delicious. Now, have you noticed that in many cultures, when you mention bread or money or dough, is a reference to money? See, by the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. That's God's blessing. Don't miss it. I hope that you have a phenomenal day. I will do another video just to keep you guys updated. Until next time.